ding ding da ding ding da ding 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 da ding ding da ding 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 da ding ding da ding ding ding.
Fubble Time.
Hi, I'm Teresa Tomey.
And I'm Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment.
And this is
Oh, maybe that's it. Fubble Time.
No, I think it's when I go ding 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 ding.
So what
Fubble
we're
time.
saying,
It always
everybody, what I don't know how it's a delay.
Well, I can't help you, sport. Patrick has challenges in that department. That just can't.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you've got them in a lot of other areas.
That's right. I am a troubled child.
Hi, everybody. Who's here?
Who's here? Tell us who's here. We are so excited.
I know.
This is kind of old home month for us, just because we are chatting with people in the world of children's television, which is where Patrick and I first ventured into work colleagues together into television.
Oh, that too. Yes. Yes, that too.
That too, right? That started it all for us. So we are delighted today. I can't wait to bring her out here.
So many memories.
So many good memories and so much interesting work. She has just lived a life since she's left us, since she left
and before she met us.
I mean, Lisa really was the catalyst for up-leveling our whole show. Like, yeah. She really was the person that we went, we need to make this show even better because of her. So let me tell you about Lisa Buckley. She's an accomplished professional puppeteer and a puppet builder with more than 25 years of experience. She's worked on countless stage productions, film and television shows, including Elf, Men in Black, The Muppets, and Sesame Street, where she performed Betty Lou, along with a wide variety of other program characters. Her amazing talent has brought her to humanitarian aid hotspots. And I'm so intrigued by the work she's been doing and has done in Cambodia, Kenya, Bangladesh, Sierra Leone, and Iraq. I mean, this woman picks the places to travel to while working with No Strings International. Important places to visit where she, through these NGO, delivers life-saving workshops and films to children in crisis around the world. Amazing. Making learning come alive with puppetry. Lisa has led and facilitated educational programs that focus on a variety of youth impact issues, including gender equality, stigma, trauma, and hygiene. She's currently working on a menstrual hygiene management program for girls aged 9 to 12 in underdeveloped nations. I mean, this woman is remarkable, and she's spending her Wednesday evening with us. So please, welcome, Lisa Buckley.
Yay!
No place I'd rather be than with you guys.
Oh my gosh, except for maybe with us at Butch's having drinks.
At Butch's, drinking a Pinot Noir.
Our friend Emil says, hello all, must be Wednesday. It's Fubble Time.
Thanks for joining us, Emil, who introduced us to one of his friends last week. We were very nice of him to do that. Kevin is here. Kevin's an amazing artist in his own right. Howdy, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. We hope you'll stick around and hear some from Lisa, because what an interesting, fascinating career. I mean, look at your room. Look at the room in which you have so many friends.
Is there somebody behind me?
one or two.
I can't escape them.
It's bringing back the memories of when we first. Oh, wait a minute! I'm going to jump ahead. I can't do that. We have to start with the first question, don't we, Teresa?
Yes, start with.
So, on that note of having all these creatures behind you, when, where, how do you remember getting bitten by the creative bug?
Well, I do remember growing up and wanting, I grew up 100 years ago, so.
Come on.
Wanting to work with animals, just, like a veterinarian or a wildlife biologist. I wanted to be, my heroes were Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey, and of course, Jacques Cousteau. Because, when I grew up, there was like 3 television stations.
Right. Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of role models for women either. Of course, we had Kel Burnett, one of your favorites, and Mary Tyler Moore. But for you women wanting to do anything beyond that, it was Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey and they were just like my idols. I wanted to be like them. So I just read every animal book and studied every animal book. And so when I went to college, I was like, that's a no-brainer. I'm going to be an animal scientist. And then I get to school and I realize I don't like science at all. And I'm not very good at it. So luckily, where I went to school, they had a puppet class. So, and I needed the credits for theater. They had like 6 credits, which is amazing. And I took it. And you know, when you do something that it's just meant to be, and you just get all like, butterflies in your stomach and everything feels good and your head is buzzing. And you're just like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I was like, okay, I'll be a puppeteer, not knowing what that means or how to do that. And there was only like two classes. So I quit school. My parents were like, what's wrong with you? And I started doing, birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. And then I think the universe said, yeah, this is what you're supposed to be. So it just sort of lined up with occupations that I could do and shows, and it just sort of streamlined from there till here I am with all these guys behind me 100 years later.
Did you ever do like theatrical stuff as a kid then that made it a natural?
No, it's so funny. I never did any theater. No, and most of the puppeteers, pretty much all of them that I've met have theater backgrounds. They know every show tune, they know every show, they just know everything. And I had a science background, which is so weird, but I realized that when I was going to be a scientist, I really actually wanted my animals to be able to talk, and I wanted them to have jobs and lives and wear clothes. So which is kind of weird because I don't have that background at all. And I still don't. I mean, I have a love of television. I'm a huge television. I just love television, but yeah, I don't have a theater background.
Were you watching puppet shows, if you will? I'm trying to think, like
Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
Yes, I did
exactly.
Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. Yep.
Did you?
I did that, and Howdy Doody, and
Howdy Doody.
I think Lamb Chops too would have been around there. Yeah.
And did you at that point think like, oh, I want to do that? Or was that just something that entertained you?
It was just something that entertained me because I was a huge, I love the Marx Brothers, and I love the Three Stooges. So I had, with the science, I also had the silly movies that I loved. I loved Cary Grant. I mean, I watched tons of black and white movies. So I had that. So I should have just said, something's going on between science and this, life of television that I just so loved. I was like Mike TV from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Loved television. I still do. Still do. So yeah, which is so weird not having.
That's what one of my nicknames was in college, was Mike TV.
Was Mike TV?
Yeah. And we have somebody that just wrote, Harpo's the best.
Oh,
somebody's spawning with you, and oh my gosh, and somebody else gave you a nice.
Look who's here! Brandy's here.
Brandy, I was just talking about you.
We were just talking. Goodness. It's so nice that Brandy's here.
Do you remember how Hedge used to harass Brandy?
Oh, I know. Sorry, Brandy. Brandy.
Yay. Oh my gosh. And our friend Jeannie's here. Jeanette.
Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for being
from Florida.
This is a wonderful show. You get all kinds of people here.
Oh my gosh. Brandy, say us hi.
Oh my gosh, Brandy. We were just talking. I mean, I've recovered.
She's so talented.
She's recovered from Hedge's insults.
She was the best.
What about that Grover doll at Southern?
Oh, that's Bob. Oh, goodness gracious.
Tell everybody who Bob is. Tell people.
I used to have this Grover doll when we were at college, and I would, I didn't know I could be a puppeteer. I didn't know that it was going to come naturally to me, which is so weird to say that. But sometimes when you have like a skill or a talent, you just are able to do it. And puppetry for me was that. And not so much anymore, but then. So I had this Grover doll, and I would make him move, and I used him so much I broke his neck. So his neck was like that, but I could make him move. So yeah.
Oh, so
I had an Oscar the Grouch, and I bet you it was the same kind of thing. It was about this big. And
well, Grover, he was probably like that. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
So he had like long arms. Yeah, he was just, I don't even know where I got him from either. But yeah.
Did you meet, so I have 2 questions. Quick question. So did you meet Bob in college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And was he doing puppetry?
No, he was going to be an art teacher, and I made him do puppets, and we quit school together.
And look at all your creations behind you too, right? That's the magic of that relationship.
I know.
Staring over your shoulder.
I know.
Did you guys, this is kind of like our second question, has the craft changed over time? But also, did you create puppets together right away? Did you explore that and did you learn it in a certain way?
Yeah, we did. And the good thing about Bob is he's an amazing sculptor. So our puppets in the beginning were all sculpted foam. I can't reach him, but like Bob in the corner right there.
The monkey?
Yeah, he's sculpted out of foam, just a block of foam. And Bob is an amazing sculptor. So for us, that was like the look of our puppets, was the sculpted foam. So, but for us now, what I do now is all very simple puppets. I sort of moved away from that very difficult, because where I travel to, they don't really have supplies. They don't have anything.
Yeah.
You have to make puppets out of, like, now I'm trying to do like puppets out of paintbrushes. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So just, taking a paintbrush, putting some clay on it, or newspaper with tape, and then just painting it. So that kind of thing. Yeah, so that I'm exploring.
I'm gonna get your Instagram right now, because
okay.
Because people can follow you that way.
Oh, please, yeah. Sure.
Before as Patrick's doing that, Kevin, we're going to ask your question, because I think that's a great question. But before we get to it, I do want to, I am curious. Patrick talked about how it's changed, and I can see how you have evolved and kind of changed with it. But I know that in terms of the evolution of puppetry, you said you started by doing birthday parties. So you were just kind of doing this, but then at some point you graduate to being an on camera or under camera.
Yes.
And that's such a different technique. Was that transition difficult for you, or was that, and can you explain the difference?
Yes, for us, it's so funny. When we were in college, that's what I was saying. It's like the universe said, this is what you're going to do. So when we were in college taking that one puppetry class, then we saw a notice on a board that they were going to do a television show with puppets, and they needed people. So we were like, oh my gosh, so we have to do this, because we're going to be puppeteers now. So we went, and we ended up doing these holiday specials for, it was Metro Media at the time, and then they were bought out by Showtime. And so we did Christmas and Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Easter, all those. So Bob and I built like a whole army of puppets in this small little like puppet factory in Cheshire, Connecticut. And we would shoot these shows. And so from that, it sort of just evolved to the next kind of a thing. And then it evolved to Alf, and then it evolved to getting, I worked on this really weird show called Scorch, which was after Alf. It was I worked on that. And it just so happened that one of the puppeteers that I worked with, her husband was on Sesame Street. So then I got an audition there, and it just sort of went that way. It was like this weird sort of, it was meant to be, until I was like, I don't want to do television puppets anymore, because regular puppets, like birthday party puppets, you're just holding the puppet and you're just doing it. But television puppets, like you said, Teresa, you're underneath, like I'd be underneath this table, and you would just see my hand. So the camera just sees the puppet. And then I have all these TV monitors on the ground so that I can see what the camera sees. So that's what I was trained to do. I wasn't really trained in the theater much, but more television. So, but there's so many different kinds of puppets. You've got marionettes, you've got shadow puppets, you have stick puppets, you have hand puppets, Punch and Judy type puppets. It's just amazing. And amazing puppeteers out there. It's incredible. And there's a lot on Instagram, all kinds of puppets and puppeteers that are doing incredible work. So
that's great. So we've got a couple of questions coming in. Patrick's highlighting it right now. How challenging was it to keep on track and continue your craft?
It wasn't that bad until I didn't want to do television puppets anymore, and I started going into more of the aid work, which is where I think truly my heart was from the very beginning, because it's just so incredible. And it's incredible not because I get to travel to these insane places, but to watch people that have never had any chance to do any sort of art make these beautiful, amazing creations. It makes me realize that as humans, we have so much more in common than we do have differences. And people are so creative, and you just give them a chance to be creative, and you just watch that spark, and you just watch this beautiful evolution of these amazing characters, and that people that don't even have any art supplies, that you give them a pencil and they're drawing and they're cutting out, and then they pick it up and they become the character. So you're seeing play and drama, and it's just a natural thing inside all of us. It's beautiful to watch. So I think that's why I love it most, is just to watch people just blossom.
That's one of the things I loved about Come On Over. It was about making something out of nothing, you know, and that was a fun thing. And that you got to witness that firsthand after doing Come On Over was pretty amazing.
And you guys were so amazing, because you gave everybody an opportunity to be whatever they wanted to be. That they wanted to act, you can act. You want to be in the behind the camera, okay, you can be behind the camera. And I think that's what made Come On Over one of the loveliest shows I've ever worked on. It's just so gorgeous, and it attracted such a beautiful bunch of people.
Community.
So, yes.
In fact, now I just popped up Kevin's, but I'm going to ask Fred's question real quick. Hi from Brandy's dad. Brandy's dad says hello. He says, love your company's name.
I knew he would. I totally knew he would love that name. Yes. Oops, sorry. Yes, Creative Arts. Yes.
And what's the origin story on that?
It's one of the qualities of nature in yogic philosophy. So, and it means pure and good. It's like the three. It's like it's the creativity and the goodness. Then there's the dark. It's like in us, there's all the three things going in us that makes us who we are. And sometimes we're a little bit more dark, and sometimes we're a little more pure, and sometimes we're a little more, lazy. So it's that kind of inner feud that's always going on. So I just love the word saatva. So, but I'm sure Fred can explain it 10 times better than I could.
It's interesting.
Like
That's interesting because when we came up with Enthusiastic Productions for Come On Over for our production company, it was I was doing the artist's way, and it came from the word enthusiasm, which was the Greek word for God, and it was basically, or not for God, but for spirituality. It was the energy behind it, and I loved it because it was Teresa, Joel, and I had 3 different paths we followed. So I love that you had kind of the same energy behind yours that we did, which is so fun.
So you did give us. We're going to step back before we get to your global word, right? We got to ask Kevin's question. Will we get to meet any of your puppets? And would love to hear a voice or two. Is there? I mean, you started to give us Hedge without Hedge.
Yes. Okay. So we're still in the lockdown. I decided, because with the coronavirus, I wanted to do, it's funny because I just got back from Bangladesh, like the day before they locked down and they shut down the airports. And we were all here, which was so fun because the kids were upstairs making movies, and Bob and I were downstairs making movies. And we decided, let's make a coronavirus puppet. And because everyone was getting like freaking out, and it was very scary in the beginning. So we made a coronavirus puppet. So
I saw that, which was great. Yes.
And we did all these videos about, washing your hands and, staying healthy. And so he's like, he's made out of a soccer ball, one of those little rubber soccer balls. And we cut him open and we just gave him a crown because he's the coronavirus. So
yeah, I'm the coronavirus. And I'm still making people sick. I'm sorry, it's what I do. I can't hurt myself. I'll go home now. No, I won't. I'm going to be here forever.
No, don't be here forever, Mr. Coronavirus.
So great.
How many voices do you think you have in your head, and do you dream in voices?
Well, if I went to visit Butch's and I came out of Butch's, I'd probably have 100 voices.
Yay.
Because that place was fun.
Yes, we had fun. Do you have another one? Like a
Yes,
different voice, different character?
I do. The thing that I like about working for the aid world is you can use puppets to talk about subjects that are really sensitive and very difficult to talk about, like open
Yeah,
defecation. Who wants to talk about that? I do.
right.
So we had to come up with a way to talk about, pooping, not pooping out in the field, but trying to poop in a latrine if you have them, and then making sure you wash your hands because of the disease transference. So one of our big projects that we work on is WASH, water, sanitation, hygiene. So I decided, let's make a Mr. Poop puppet. So, and he's very popular. Oops, hold on. His flies are stuck. There we go.
Yeah, Mr. Poop. Hey, what's that smell? It's me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mr. Poop, and I like to talk about open defecation.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I'm made out of a simple sock, and I got some flies on my head, and I like to make kids sick.
Oh,
You know-
so who do you talk to, Mr. Poop? Like who are the people that you talk to the most?
Well, I have a lot of friends. I like to talk with my friends, the germs, which I don't know where they are right now because, it's Wednesday night. And my enemies are Mr. Soap, hate Mr. Soap, and Mr. Latrine, don't like him either. But one of my friends, oh, look at poor dirty water. Want a drink? Yeah, okay.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, he's so much fun. I love this puppet. He's just made out of a sock. He's just a sock with like little clips, hair clips for his flies, and he is so much fun. Yeah. So what we do is we call ourselves
Kevin applauds.
trainers.
Kevin's sending a applause for you.
And before we move on, can you give us a little bit of Betty Lou? I know you don't probably have her puppet.
Oh my
but
gosh,
can you
Betty Lou.
remember her voice?
Oh, how does Betty Lou sound?
I think she was up here. I'm Betty Lou. Yeah, there she is. Oh, I'm Betty Lou.
That's about all I can do. It's been a long time since I did Betty Lou. That was a long time ago.
I remember you did that for us during Come On Over, that you did that voice, and we talked a little bit about it. I want to know just where, how, so many things are in my brain right now. Because we trained with you, and
That's right.
we learned, and Teresa and I failed miserably on how to do the camera, and but what was so interesting to me was making the puppet talk, that you use your thumb. So many people do the top.
Yes.
And because we talk with our
you remember.
jaw. Yeah.
Yes, you remember.
So, but also,
And it was
just talk
out
about
too, wasn't it? Didn't we have
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You push it out. Yeah. The words are being pushed out. Yeah. Yeah.
And
then
so
it made you count.
with the monitor, you were looking, and so everything is reversed,
Right?
right?
It depends on the monitor. Yeah. Sometimes it's the same. If it's flipped, then I can't use it because then it is reversed. Yeah.
And that was so fascinating to me. And then the positions you would get in
Oh my gosh.
to do the different.
Floor. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And then
I'd
you
be
would
always on
have
the ground.
your microphone would be here.
Oh
We had
yes. Yeah. With a little headband. Yeah. With the
yeah,
microphone. I think I had a cart, didn't I, for Hedge when he was walking? I had like a little wheelie cart,
yes,
kind of like
yeah.
underneath the car when you're working on a car, just I'd scoot around.
Yeah.
So was that
so
the
much fun.
same thing for Sesame Street as well?
Yeah,
Where
same idea. Yeah.
So
Okay.
shortly after Come On Over is when you started to work with No Strings? Like when did you said you were ready to move on from television and go into No Strings?
Yeah, it was after Katrina. When was Katrina?
Oh, that's right, because you did work there, right?
I did. That was the first like aid thing that I did with Sesame Street after the hurricane. They sent down a group of us to go to the daycare centers and the shelters, and it was it was so powerful because not only did the little kids react to seeing the puppets, of course, it's Elmo and all that, but the adults did too, and you could just see them engaging with the puppets. So I kind of thought, wow, there's something here. People really react to puppets and puppetry. They just were talking to them, and these are adults telling the puppets about what happened to their house and their kids. They were really worried about their kids, and you could see it was very therapeutic for them. So when No Strings, which is all ex Sesame Muppet people anyway, they wanted to do this.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. Most of them, pretty much all of them it's like a family. Everyone's worked together, and it was around 9/11, and after they were bombing Afghanistan, they wanted to do something for the kids in Afghanistan for landmine awareness because they didn't want them to, suffer more than they were suffering. So they did a short video about that, and then it kind of I didn't work on that one. That was way before me. And then it started going into disaster risk reduction. It was the Philippines, which gets hit by every known natural disaster. It's unbelievable. And they started to notice that, we do these movies, these little films, and then we make puppets to support the workshop. And then we were going to like Cambodia, and then it spread to going to Kenya and doing WASH. And then it was doing AIDS, and then it was trauma with the Syrian war. So we went to Lebanon and Iraq too, because they had a lot of people that in Iraq, a lot of IDPs, which are internally displaced people, inner refugees. So we started doing trauma workshops and peace building workshops, and it's just sort of kept going until 2 years ago when it all came crashing down.
You created the coronavirus, and I saw that on Instagram. Have you been doing very much on like Zoom and online and any of that during this crazy period of time that we're in?
Not really. I've just, developed him, and he was on YouTube. I did him on YouTube. But
is that where it was?
Pardon me?
That's where it was, on YouTube?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, on YouTube. And then I decided I wanted to work on this menstrual hygiene project. So sort of like, okay, once they say we can fly, we were supposed to go somewhere like a couple months ago before this new variant came. We were just about ready to go off Kenya, and then this happened. So
how does a program get started? So let's say, did you go, boy, I know that there's a need for this. Did somebody approach you? Do you approach people? Like how does this work happen?
The people that I work with, the NGO No Strings International, they're out of the UK and out of New York City. The production end is out of New York City. And now we seem to get approached all the time because the Johnny McGlade, he is in charge of the No Strings, the UK part, and he's an ex-aid worker. He's been everywhere crazy. He's got crazy stories, a crazy Irish guy. So he hooked up with Kathy Mullen, who is, like Muppet royalty. And so people start contacting him because he was with all kinds of aid organizations, War Child and various other ones. So, he tells all of his people, this is what we're doing now. And here's the film, or he calls them films because he's Irish. And then people watch the film, and then, like the UN will contact us, and World Vision, and our big one that we work with is Catholic Relief Services, because they're one of the biggest NGOs, and Caritas, which is another big one. So they say, okay, we see that and we have like a library of our films now with all, different subjects, and they'll say, we want you to come and do a workshop. But we were working in Bangladesh before the coronavirus hit, doing with the Rohingya up in the refugee camps, and we were working with them with WASH. So we were there, and they were like, you guys need to leave because they're going to shut down the airports.
Wow.
And how many have not?
Go ahead.
You actually haven't done the how do I say it? The hygiene for girls, the menstrual hygiene. You haven't done that in person
No,
yet?
I'm trying to develop
Oh,
it. Yeah. So I have my
because I was telling Mark about it and it was like,
Oh,
great. I saw you were making her on Instagram.
yes,
oh my God,
yes,
Um,
follow me
yes,
on Instagram.
oh my
yes.
gosh,
Oh
how
yeah, this one.
creative.
This one, the talking one. Hello,
Yeah.
darling. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. So I figured
Alexander says, and I just put it in, your website is Saatva Creative Arts.
yes, Saatva
And
Creative
he says,
Arts.
does
Yeah.
Lisa have a website or a place where he can request an autographed photo? I grew up on Sesame Street, and this is a very special experience for him.
Oh, that's
So,
so sweet.
and you
That's
can
so sweet.
follow her on Instagram and reach out to her that
Yeah.
way too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
And what does
Absolutely.
Fred Stella say here?
no, you
Oh,
don't even want to read what Fred Stella wrote.
no, Fred Stella. No,
Yeah,
God.
I love him. I
Did
love
you
him.
see what he wrote, Lisa Buckley? You would,
No, I didn't. What did he say?
oh, I'm going to ask it. I'm married to the guy.
Yes.
When you use the human excrement puppet, do you have to pay Trump royalty?
Never
Yeah.
thought about that.
Shame on you. This is an apolitical
Oh,
show,
how
Fred
interesting what
Stella.
Kevin's asking. I don't think you ever have, right? You've never done a production of Avenue Q.
No,
Would you
I
want
never
to?
have. No.
Yeah, it's too
That's not your
theatrical,
thing.
right? Especially now that you're in this
Yeah,
other.
it doesn't. It's funny. When I was watching Nate, and he just is so amazing, and he was talking about what he does. I was like, wow, I'm so far removed from that. I don't even know what he's saying.
So far removed from the kids' world and
From
the
the kids'
performance.
world, and that's just not my. It's not my scene, man.
And
Did you do
go ahead.
did you do Elf before Sesame Street, or did you do Sesame Street before that?
I did Alf before Sesame Street. Yes,
And
the left hand.
one of the things, the left hand, we always said the liberal part of Elf
She was the
was
left arm of
Lisa.
Elf. Yeah, the liberal arm of Elf.
But
Yeah.
I was so fascinated because you shared with us and shared with the audience just a little bit about the set, how the set was raised, right?
Oh, and Alf, yes. Yeah, it was a very difficult show to shoot because we had the set was built like 4 feet up, and they had these trenches or like little trap doors. So if Alf moved from, say, the kitchen, he'd come through the door and he'd walk to the couch. They'd have to open up a trench from the door to the couch. And so that took time. And then we would walk through, stop at the couch, then they'd say cut, and then they'd fill in the trench, and then we'd continue the scene. So it's very laborious to shoot Alf. And if Alf was on the couch, I was underneath in the couch too, because they had they took the couch apart a bit so you could squeeze yourself in there. So, oh yeah.
It's crazy. So we're jumping back and forth between eras for you, but I want to get back to your other era for another question here. Do you do? I mean, all the work that you do with No Strings, I look at your library of films and everything that you guys have done, and I think, God, American children need to see these videos just to see what's happening in the world. Like,
yeah, you're right.
do you do anything like cultural awareness stuff with our little sheltered children? I mean, they're not all sheltered, but
I mean, I've done workshops in inner city schools, but not. We were always talking about doing a film for the kids here, but I mean, like the menstrual hygiene project would be perfect for kids here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just never. All the money seemed to be over in refugee camps.
Yeah,
So,
which is money well spent and truly understandable, but it's
no,
just
but you're right. Kids here with gun violence and depression, especially now after during the COVID and after the pandemic finally hopefully ends soon, it's going to leave a wreckage of kids who are struggling. You can see it already.
Well, and I'm talking about showing the kids the work that you're doing, like showing them Mr. Poopy.
Yeah.
They understand
Yes.
what kids are dealing, it's such It's amazing work that you're doing.
It's amazing because I get to watch how amazing humans are, people. I'm just like I get to I'm like an audience member. I get to watch people just blossom into creative, amazing artists that we all are. And I'm so lucky to be able to do that and to travel and meet amazing people and amazing young people. I know that sometimes the millennials or whatever get a bad rap, but there's so many fantastic people out there doing amazing,
Yeah.
incredible, loving stuff. Yeah.
And you're in a
And you're
community. How many people are you working with? Like when
Um,
you're in Bangladesh, how many people are you impacting?
well, it's a trainer of trainers, so we're training aid workers and
Okay.
psychosocial, uh, clinical professionals, teachers, volunteers. So we get about, let's see, those maybe like 30 people. So my colleague Rosie and I, who she's amazing too, she's married to Johnny. There's amazing people. We'll go in and we'll work for like 5 days teaching different types of puppetry, and a lot of these people are also traumatized too. So it's sort of like a therapy session slash learning session slash art play therapy. So it's a lot. And then we would go up to the refugee camp and they would work with the kids. So then you bring this to the kids because our work is all play therapy, but it's also we want the kids to figure out the answers because kids are way smarter anyways. And so it's get the kids to tell you what's happening. So if it's, the one in Bangladesh was about a lot of the girls have to stay in the tents because it's incredibly dangerous there. I mean, there's a lot of sex trafficking and it's incredible conservative society. They don't really, I mean, they're simple farmers and they got kicked out of Myanmar and they got pushed over to Bangladesh. So the only thing they have left is their religion and they're incredibly conservative. So it's a bit difficult to work with them. But on the other hand, in the refugee camp at night, people come in and steal the girls. So during the day, these poor girls have to stay in their tents and
Oh
it's hot.
God.
And there's no books, there's no library, there's nothing for them to do but just sit in these tents. And they're, young until they, marry them off. So hopefully you're trying to get them to say, okay, well, we know you love your daughters, but we must realize that your daughters need some help. So you have to allow them to have some sort of freedom, whatever that might look like maybe letting them go to school or letting them, maybe make things. The big thing there is kite flying. They love flying kites. So our story is about a girl who designs kites for her brother, and there's a big contest, and the girl is, she's very scientific minded, and all she wants to be is a teacher. So it's convincing the father that if the fathers banded together and they could take these young girls and let them go to school for a little while, it would be much better for their mental health. So yeah, and it's so difficult there. Oh my goodness, so difficult. But people, even there too, the resilience of humans and just how there's people there that are working so hard to help them in this awful situation. And then, then the rains come in and washes away all their tents. And then the elephants, it's an ancient elephant path. So the elephants come through there and knock over everything. So it's like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you bring them puppets and art and they're just like laughing and this is the adults. The kids, of course,
is there a language barrier when you're doing the puppets? Like you just had Mr. Poop and Mr. Poop was speaking English. I mean, is that what you do? Do they understand English?
They have a lot of interpreters. Yeah, we'll have interpreters. Yes. And
does the interpreter do the voice too?
Yeah, they do. It's quite funny. Yes.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
It is very funny. We had
that's like an SNL sketch waiting to happen.
It's crazy. When we were in Iraq, we had these very high class UN interpreters. I don't know how the heck we got these guys. They probably weren't busy at the moment. And there was like 5 or 6 of them, and they would just, switch off. I've never seen anything quite like it. They would speak Arabic, and then they would speak Kurdish, and then
oh my gosh,
and then we were speaking English, and it was simultaneous. I don't know how they did this. The brain is unbelievable in these guys, and they were so funny. And they ended up, one of them, one day we were looking for the interpreter. I was like, where's the interpreter? He built a shadow show and he was doing a shadow puppet show. We'd have to say, no, we called him George Clooney because he was very handsome. It's like, no, George Clooney, you have to go back. We need you. And they would do the voices. Yeah. So they're like, oh, we were talking. And then Mr. Poof voice, whoa, 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 whoa. And we're just like, oh my goodness gracious.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an interesting,
funny.
An interesting thing to do, Lisa. I mean, it's like so beyond, there's so many things happening in the world that we don't even know about, but and then to hear, we get upset if we can't turn our heat up properly. We don't have elephants running through our home. It's like the things we take for granted. I gotta ask you real quick. I don't think you ever did this, but Alex asked, did Lisa man the puppets for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? You never worked on that, did you?
No, I didn't. No, but that was a great show. I did love that show. Yes.
Yeah.
And Henry joined us. Henry was one of our guests. He's a brilliant artist.
Yes.
You're creatively fascinating. Yeah. It's an interesting career. I want to know, Lisa, before we let you go, and I cannot believe how this time has flown.
I know.
This is insane how fast it's gone.
Yes.
You were just kind of sharing experience. Can you share just an experience that maybe shifted you?
Yay.
Oh,
Nate Schramm just wrote, I love Lisa.
Nate, I was just talking about you. You're so amazing.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
I'm so proud of you, Nate. I'm happy for you too. You're amazing.
I could just see the two of you sitting in the production room. You two would have such deep conversations.
Oh, we would.
Which was so
amazing.
Nate.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I was thinking about that too. We would sit in that production room and we would just talk about stuff, and wow, he blew me away then. So he's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to catch up.
So good to see you.
I think we're going to try to make that come on over reunion happen.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
But I'm not going to let you get away without sharing something that profoundly shifted you, or just a story that.
Well, one of them, was in Lebanon, and it was working with, it was for trauma, and it was the Syrian war, and we were training the trainers to work with traumatized kids, and they weren't having much success. It was very difficult for them. So they came to our workshop and we were showing them, techniques with puppets, and maybe this would work. It was more art therapy, play therapy techniques and ideas. And they were in Jordan, in that big refugee camp there, which I can never remember the name of that one. and they got back in touch with us, and they had this story of, they were working with this little girl, and she had seen her uncle get shot and killed right in front of her, and she was incredibly shut down. And so they were working with her, and they called them child-friendly spaces. It was just like a tent, and there's all like psychosocial help and support. And they were working with her with the puppets, and she wasn't saying a thing. And it was the end of her time, and so they were letting her go. Her mother had come to get her, and she took one of the puppets and she put it in front of her face, and in a puppet voice, she told the whole story of what happened. And she hadn't spoken. She wasn't speaking at all for months. And she took that puppet and she just said, this is what happened to me. And I saw my uncle get shot. And we were like, oh my goodness. And I was like, chills, like, oh my goodness. That's unbelievable. And there's other stories like that of just, after doing puppets or seeing the videos, the movies, that kids finally feel like they can speak. And I think that's all the power of the puppets, the power of puppetry. There's something about puppets that just open up to. It's unbelievable. I've seen it before, and they won't speak, and then they'll talk to a puppet.
I remember when you would talk to kids as Hedge, they would look. You didn't exist.
Yeah.
You weren't.
They were there.
Yeah.
They were right there.
Yeah, and it's not me, it's the puppet. It was never me. It was always that character. There's something in those little eyes, and maybe because he was so small, they would hug him, and it's just, we all had stuffed animals. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. So those kind of stories, like, wow, that's so powerful.
Oh, that's
powerful.
beautiful, Lisa.
So true, Henry says.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll give this a shout out. Alexander thanks Patrick. He's gonna. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Alexander.
So,
Yeah, Alexander.
well, thank you for sharing that, Lisa. I mean, I imagine you have a million of those stories. I mean, with those kinds of intense experiences, you can't
Yeah.
come away with.
It's still a beautiful world out there. That's still filled with mostly good people. I will go to my
Yeah.
grave saying that.
Yeah, good for
Yeah.
you. 'Cause there's a
And
lot
you
of
know,
pain.
it's really where you put
Yeah.
your focus in those situations, right?
Yeah.
You know, as Mr. Rogers said, you know, look for the helpers,
That's
right?
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so funny, every time that something like will happen, I always say, okay, who are the helpers? Who's helping? Because you get like, oh, what's going on? I'm scared. But look for the helpers. And there's so many angels that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you guys.
I love how you took this world of puppetry, of humor, fun, lightheartedness, and everything, and gave it such a substance, even to creating the corona with the crown. You know, that's so. I mean, this
Yeah.
world that we're in right now, you know, that you found something that creative. I know when I saw him on YouTube or on Instagram, I was like, that is good. So leave it to you and Bob to create
Yeah,
something
Bob.
wonderful
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob's amazing.
Well,
Well,
Lisa
thank you, Lisa. Oh my gosh.
Buckley,
Thank you.
this time has just flown. Don't run
know.
away. We're going
Oh
to
my
stick you in
gosh,
the green
46
room.
minutes. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness.
Boom. And so
Wow.
many, I have 100 more questions.
Yeah.
It's just, you've lived such an interesting life, and we are so blessed to know you. And
Oh, thank
just,
you. I feel so that way about you
yeah,
guys. I really do.
spend
Someone who is
time in
very
your
special.
orbit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
Very special time.
Yeah.
All right.
Very special.
Thank you, Lisa, so
Bye.
much.
Bye, guys.
Oh my gosh.
We'll put you in the green room. Don't run away.
Don't run away. Fred Stella's
Okay.
going to come back and say hi. Oh my God. What an interesting, fascinating.
Oh, look at what Jeannie said. I feel so blessed to have the opportunity tonight to catch Fubble, tonight to hear your interesting life. Oh, and thank you for your work, Lisa.
Oh, yeah. Darius, thank you for
Darius.
watching. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, Darius was on. Come on over with her.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
how
Darius
fun.
was not coming over. Thanks, Kevin. Great show tonight. Are you going to flip that one up, Patrick? Got that? I guess I will. Patrick and I sometimes hit it at the same
doing
time and we
Fubble
cancel
Time.
each other out. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, Lisa's a remarkable woman, and we are so excited. We have another remarkable person next week, Quayle Chanda, who we met also on Come On Over, who's now an executive working in television and children's television for
Reese Witherspoon's.
Yes,
company.
I know. And all of a sudden the name just
Yeah.
completely escaped me. Happy. I was going to say happy
And
endings. That's not it.
And I'll talk about, raising, please bring Lisa again. So interesting. Terry Zinn said that.
Please bring Lisa back. We will.
Hello,
Terry.
Sunshine. Thank you, Nate. Hello, Sunshine.
Hello, Sunshine. Thank you, Nate. Don't shoot me.
But she, same way. I mean, what a career in children's TV with Blue's Clues, and somebody that came to us through our show as well. Yay! Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much for that comment. Look at the energy, the saatva that Lisa brings to all of us.
I know.
All right, everybody.
So as we always say, everybody.
Same time, same place. Join the conversation. Gotta go.